Hi, everybody. Today, I'm so excited because I get to introduce a friend, a colleague, somebody that I've known for probably about 15 years. I know his reputation. I know his sense of humor. I know a lot about Jason Bramblett. He's in the Triad area. If you've got any real estate in that area, you need to call Jason Bramblett because he knows the deal. He actually is the real estate company of the UNCG Spartans. So, are you an alumni there, Jason?
No, actually, I'm not. We just connected with a lot of their alumni who happen to be back, past clients, and I was offered the opportunity to be their athletic sponsor. So we sponsor pretty much mainly basketball is the focus, but a lot of the soccer and all those different things. And it's just a good community connection.
It is. And what I was really impressed with is I saw this long list of community involvement and everything from Piedmont Teen Challenge, Hope Ride. I mean, I really can't even name them all. Winston-Salem Food Bank, Greensboro Urban Ministries. You're very community focused. I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. It's and that's why we really do what we do in this business, because if you don't have a reason bigger than yourself, this thing gets tough, doesn't it?
I agree with you. There's so much to know about you, but also before I get off this, I want you to know that Jason is a keynote speaker for radio and TV experts. He's also a speaker for viral marketing, and he speaks for CEO of Real Estate in Chicago. He is a trainer par excellence. I listen to him when he speaks. I've heard him recently. And I'm just going to go back in history and tell the real truth, Jason. You didn't go to school. You didn't go to college to be a real estate agent.
No, did not. I had this grandiose idea that I wanted to own my own restaurant. So I went to culinary school in Charleston, South Carolina. Worked in a lot of different restaurants, clubs, different types of things like that when I got, while I was in school. And then actually outside of that, once I graduated, stayed there for about 2 years. And then I figured out, man, it's hot in the kitchen and it pays nothing. So I decided that I should manage the whole restaurant. And so I took a job up here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and managed about 3 or 4 different franchises while I was up here. And actually, it's kind of crazy how I got real estate. I had a group of real estate agents who were regulars at our facility, and one of them said one day, and I was having a bad night, she's like, you should get into real estate. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So 24 years later, and I'm still giving it a shot.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you're giving it more than a shot because your company is just doing well and has done well steadily over the years for 25 years. That's quite an achievement. But I want to ask you some things. Just real estate, you say real estate was an accident. You really didn't give it a lot of thought. You just, one day you were having a bad day.
Yeah, it was, for friends of mine and people listening that have been in the restaurant business, it's every weekend when everybody's having fun, celebrating holidays, you're working. Typically, I had the best shift, so I would work 13, 14 days in a row, which was just fantastic. 80 hours a week and coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was, and for a single person, okay, that's fine. But then, married and, kids start coming, and it's like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I'll be honest with you, when I got into real estate, I felt like I was working a part-time job because I was only working 50 to 60 hours a week. And I was like, what do these people do? It was just foreign to me, because we were just, so used to long hours and really just grinding it out for 10 and 12 days in a row. And, a lot of the real estate people was like, this Friday, we're going to go play golf. And I didn't understand it. I was like, so it took me a while to break the mold of the restaurant business and dig right into real estate. But it's been a wild 24 years for sure.
It has for you. It's funny because people talk about the overwork in real estate, the hours on the weekend. It sounds a little bit like you were talking about your restaurant business. So you had a strong work ethic. I think that's one of the reasons that you're who you are today.
Yeah, it definitely, I feel like it did give me a competitive advantage because, Well, and me and you probably been doing this. I don't know how many years you've been in real estate, but it's over 20. So, there wasn't an MLS system when we started, right? I mean, hardly anybody had a cell phone, and so it was back in the day when you called landlines and people actually answered them, and so it's just totally different than how it is today, for sure.
It is totally different. But tell me about your evolution of your career. You started out with a smaller company and then became Jason Bramblett Realty.
I did. I started. There was a franchise here called Realty Executives. Started out with them. Great, great group of guys. Spent 10 years there, really just cutting my teeth, learning the processes, and of course, the market shifts and all of those things that happened from 1998 to 2008 essentially, and and then the transition of a lot of the tech, the social media, the internet came along. I mean, there was just so many different ways that the business evolved during that time, and I was probably just at the end of the old school dial for dollars. We used the crisscross directory, and you probably know what that is, Marty. But
Yes, I do.
I say that to my team, and they're like, "Is it like a phone book?" So anyway, but yeah, it just a lot of different things have changed over the years, and but yeah, I started out working with land and new construction, and I found a way that, and I figured out a way to research vacant land, and then I just partnered with builders, and so I did new construction, and we did a lot of infill lots back in those days, and then we moved into, the internet came along, so then buyer leads became a really big thing because it was easy to get in front of them and create some web traffic. Back in those days was certainly not near as competitive as it is now.
Right.
But then I was like, well, buyers are great, but I like this listing thing, and so really heavily focused on listings for probably a good 15 years. And of course, through the short sale, the downturn in the market, we became short sale specialists and foreclosures, and now we've become the multiple offer experts, right? In the past 30 months. So it's just amazing how that business has transitioned over the years. And I don't know what the next 10 years look like. It's going to be fun though. It'll be way different than it is today.
I believe that. That's actually one of my questions. But I want to go back to when you made that original switch from the first company to Jason Bramblett Real Estate Company. Your name is on the door. You're the boss. You're the one. Why did you make that switch?
Well, I looked at buying I looked at a lot of different things. I looked at Remax at that time. I looked at Keller Williams. I looked at all these things, and I was like, and it just came to me the last 5, 6, 7 listing appointments I went on. I put the sign in the ground, and the people were like, "Oh, who are they?" They didn't know what company I worked at. They were hiring me, so I was like, I think I'm just going to do my own thing. I mean, that's who they're calling to sell their property. That's who they're seeing in advertisements or hearing on the radio at that time. And so I thought, well, I'll just do this independent thing. I mean, it's been done before. And I would say that was a strategic move. It was good. It definitely helped us really brand the company in the marketplace. And, so we did that for a little over 12 years. We ran it independent. And we ran it as I would always say we wanted to be the Navy SEALs of real estate. So I always had a very small team, high producing agents, didn't really think about growth outside of the Triad or definitely not internationally or anything like that. So it was, and the other thing is I managed people in the restaurant business. Because typically we had 60 to 80 employees, and I'm like, man, I do not want to manage 60 to 80 real estate people. That just wasn't, I didn't want to go back to that. So we just kept that high producing elite group. And that worked. It worked well. The downside with that is, well, your best people find greener grass.
That's right.
They do.
That is amazing that, I was with a big company, Remax, and so I made the switch too. But then in your evolution, you were there, you had your own company. Then you heard about this new company called EXP. and some things went on. You didn't go right away, and then again you heard about it. What made you make that change? Because Jason, I want to tell you something. I've talked to a lot of people that own an independent company, and once their name is on the door, they are just adverse to having anything else.
Well, so funny story. I was actually first introduced to EXP probably in 2013 or 14. And someone showed this thing to me, and they did it wrong. They showed me this world, this online thing. And I looked at that guy and I said, this has to be the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. You mean to tell me you're going to have agents playing video games online, walking around in a cartoon world? I'm just trying to get them to pick up the phone, right? And just make some sales calls,
Yeah.
It did not. But at that time, it was, there was just a few hundred people probably in the whole entire organization. And so anyway, and a little bit over the years, a couple people here and there might say something to me about it. I was like, I've seen it. I know everything I need to know. It's a video game. That was it. That was my whole perception of it. But then, as it started to gain some traction, and I was really watching some key people that I respect in this business get involved. And I thought, well, okay, maybe there's more to this. And then what I did is I really, spent the time blocked and did the research and did, really looked at, was it a good fit for us? Did it accomplish, where I wanted to take our business in the future? And then what additional opportunity did it offer for the company, but then also for our agents? And so it started to check more boxes as I actually invested the time and really looked into it. But yeah, in the beginning, it was, I dismissed it like within 20 seconds. I'm like, no, forget this. So, and at that time, it would not have been right for me at that time.
We make our own timing, that's for sure. But so what was initially, when you looked at it fresh, what was it initially that struck you as, this is good, I need to check into that?
Yeah, so one thing I saw it was going to be able to do was alleviate just some of the tactical broker tasks that we were having to do in-house. So that was going to give my agents and my operations team more time to concentrate on serving our clients as opposed to the transactional piece of the back end of the real estate. And then I also looked at the people that were coming on board, and we've traveled together in a lot of different groups and spoken a lot of the same places, and we've invested just hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in improving us and our businesses, and some of those same people were coming on board, and I'm like, well, this is interesting. So I talked to a couple of those guys, and they're like, look, we can do this together and collaborate together and be in, like, as Jay says, one big fire, right? And I was like, wow, is that possible? Can we really get all of our egos together and do that? Is that
big.
Possible to do?
Takes a big room for all those egos.
It really, yes, for sure. But it actually has really masterfully worked out that way. It really has, and I feel like now I do. As I don't feel like it. I have business partners in pretty much every state in America that I can pick up the phone at any time and say, I'm stuck. I need help. What did you do? And I don't have to write them a check to do it, which is even better. Because there was a time when I did.
I know it's that closed. When I got in real estate, it was everybody was keeping something close to their chest. The high producers wouldn't tell you what it really took to be a high producer, and so this is fresh. I mean, to me, it's a new generation's way of thinking about stuff. And but I still find it amazing that you spent a lot of time building a credible brokerage that had a great reputation. And to some people that I've talked to, it's like giving up on yourself, and it's not that at all.
Right. I remember sitting in a restaurant in Dallas, Texas, if I remember correctly. It was either Dallas or Nashville, Tennessee. And sitting across from me was Marti Hampton from Raleigh, North Carolina. And she asked me, tell me about this independent thing. And of course, I pushed back and I said, why aren't you independent? And I'll never forget what you said. You said, Jason, I bleed red, white, and blue. I will never forget that ever. And I was like, okay, no problem. But see, for me at that time, I was like, why would anybody do with a franchise? I didn't get that. And so, and I, everybody's got their obviously reasons for what they do. But I had just run that independent model for so long, and we're efficient, we're super profitable. It was not a big headache. It was just a really well-oiled machine, and it was working great. And I was like, why wouldn't anybody else do this? And I remember, another gentleman from North Carolina called me, and he's like, hey, I'm in this franchise, and he'd been talking to me and asking questions about this independent model, and he calls one day, and he's like, do you think I can run a brokerage for like $450,000 a year? And I was like, if you can't, then you need to quit. I'm like, yes, you can run a brokerage on that, because that's how much he was paying into the franchise. I was like, holy smoke. So talk about getting a pay raise, obviously, and he went independent, and I think it's worked out very, very well. So, but at different points in our life and our career, priorities change, goals change, and opportunities, different opportunities present themselves.
At least you were open to it. That's pretty big that you were willing to look at it, willing to learn. So what surprised you the most? Now you're 15 months into this new company, EXP. What surprised you the most?
So I would say the openness of the community, for sure. I've got all these amazing referral partners anywhere we want to go now. So that's nice. It's the synergy of the network. What I see is the people that are involved right now really do grasp that we are all owners of this together. And so I feel like we have a hotel here in our market that's an ESOP, so it's an employee-owned company. And one of the things I notice when I always go on their property is there's never any trash. There's never any weeds. Each person takes ownership of that property, that hotel, that restaurant, and you might be the waiter, and you're walking out to the parking lot, and there's an incentive for you because you own part of this business to pick up that piece of trash and go throw it away or whatever it is. And it's just I think this is one of the best ran organizations probably in our marketplace. And that's what I kind of feel about with the synergy of the EXP brokerage is that we're here to help each other, and we all have different struggles or different, problems or solutions or things that we're seeking. And there's that willingness to help because if I win, you win. It's just all the way around. And so we're building profit and obviously equity for all of us down the road in the future. I think it's brilliant. But that's kind of my comparison is when I talk to folks, it's like, look, just everybody's an owner, so everybody's willing to give that helping hand and especially if you just don't know all the answers as you're building a business. It's just not possible.
And the truth of it is I know you loved your team members. You had people that worked with you for years and years, just as I did. And it was a big decision to go because I was headed straight towards independent after my contract with RE/MAX. And then I saw this new opportunity. And one thing that Amy Weenan said when I was talking to her, she said, now everybody on my team basically has the same opportunity as I do. So you actually alluded to a few minutes ago, good people would go on to something else. Now those good people can go on to something else that's right there with you and still be in business with you.
And that's so I think going back to your part of we guarded the secret sauce, if you will, especially as owners when we were independent. I certainly did. I wasn't going to give away all my secrets, if you will.
Right.
Now we actually created a 36-month training system within our team. So you come on the Jason Bramblett Real Estate team. My goal is in 36 months is to make you an independent EXP agent out on your own. And and it's on purpose and it's specific now. And so the ones that were probably going to rise to the top and be the best and that were going to leave anyway, well, if we can train them properly and still be there as a mentor coach, they're probably not going to leave the brokerage services of EXP. So what I believe it, and I haven't had anybody leave yet, so I don't know, but in this short time we've been here, but what's happened over the 12 years when I was independent is people would go out the back door. And so I spent all this time, effort, and energy pouring myself into them to train them up, to get them to be, super productive real estate agents. And they would be like, well, I want to try this on my own, or the grass is greener, or whatever. What I hoped and what I do believe is the EXP model will close that back door. They're still probably going to go out and do their own thing, and great, I'm going to be cheering for them all the way. But now I have a reward in perpetuity for all the heavy lifting I did on the front end.
That's awesome.
And we can help them grow. And even though they may just be right across town or whatever it may be, because we have that ownership interest together, it kind of, it's one big fire. If they win, I'm winning. And so that's the way I can support.
I love that. When I left my long association with RE/MAX, I was renting a balloon, by the way, and I did pay hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to rent that balloon, and I did bleed those colors for quite some time. So it took something to really sell me. I saw EXP, and mentally I said this would work. But I want to tell you something. I've been with EXP just a little bit over 2 years now. I'm more sold that this is the best opportunity. I believe this is the best opportunity ever given to real estate agents. And I think with big tech coming into the market, big money coming into the market, the way that it is, this kind of levels the playing field and gives us almost a union against what we're facing, some of the things we're facing in the future for real estate. So that's my belief.
Yeah, I'm 100% agree. And because one of the things we're fighting with all these, the Wall Street movements and all that is they don't have to make a profit. We do. I mean, you start looking at some of their public, financials, and it's like, well, it'd be awesome to run a company that loses $70 million a year and everybody's clapping for you. I just don't have that luxury of doing that.
I can know companies like that. Compost money.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But I agree. I think I do believe that as we continue to grow, and we also do need to train agents within our brokerage how to present the messaging better. Because one thing I think that we got really, really excited about and just started kind of puking information all over the industry, that's not ever going to appeal to me. And so it's taking the time to really show them what we are and let them experience that. And I think as people do experience that, I mean, that's one of the things that I hired a COO about a year and a half ago. One of the things that we changed in how we hire people is we actually just let them come in and experience us for a week or two. They come to the team meetings. They can show up anytime they want because we want it to be a right fit. I mean, I'd rather know 2 weeks before I committed to you that this is where I want to be, as opposed to I move everything, I switch companies, I do all the stuff and change my branding, and then it's like, this isn't really what I thought. That has been an unbelievable change for us, and pretty much 100% of the people's like, this is the environment that I want to grow. Because they're looking for that leadership and support. They're not, most people feel that agents get into real estate or switch companies because of commission splits or leads or those type of things. They don't. They make changes because they're attracted to leaders that can get them to where they're going. They're looking for strong guides to help them win.
And you are that. I mean, your long list of community achievements. But one thing I've noticed about your trainings, because I've been to your trainings, and I noticed how you constantly encourage agents to stop devaluating themselves and actually warrant what they're worth. Talk to me about that.
Yes. Yeah. So, hey, not everybody's created equal, right? I mean, And I've made no apologies about this. I mean, we are known for sure in our marketplace as the most expensive real estate company to do business with. And I'm perfectly fine with that. We don't do things like any other real estate team, if you will, and we charge a premium for our service. And I figured this out. I was renting an office space one day. I looked out in the parking lot and I'm like, well, that car looks like it's $500. That one's $20,000. That one's probably $150,000. And they all made it. Now, whether they all made it home or not, that's a different story. But they all made it to this location. But I was looking at the people, and I was like, wow, the people that seem to, have a little different lifestyle. They carried themselves different into the building. They had a little more pep in their walk. They also seemed like they really dug into a schedule, and it was, I don't know, it seemed to be some of those people would come early and stay late. I'm like, that's my tribe. And so we really started to shift. It's like, okay, they obviously are willing to pay more for a different level of service. And I was like, we can duplicate that. We can do, and I've worked in some of the most amazing fine dining restaurants, up and down the East Coast as a chef. At the end of the day, a steak is a cow, but the price is a lot different depending on how the presentation is and the experience. I mean, people will pay more money to go get, well, I'll just pick on Ruth Chris, they go get a steak there. It's 3 times, if not 4 times, just what you can get at a little local diner, if you will. And so I knew people were willing to pay more for a great presentation, a great experience. And so that's what we really just worked on for the last, 15, 18 years, is to build that. And I know if you've ever been to, unfortunately my kids did not like it, but we took them to Disney when they were really young. And I was like, hallelujah, we never had to come back here again. They were scared to death of the characters, but I was like, wow, this mouse has got this game figured out. It's clean, it's first class. They execute really, really well. And I'm like, and people pay a premium to do this. And some people save for years and years to have that experience. So those are, like, I started putting all this together and like, okay, people will do this, and it also makes us stand out. It makes us different because we are offering a different opportunity, a different experience of, this is not just, throw the sign in your yard, hope the phone rings, and we'll see what happens. We actually have a strategic plan to get your home in front of most people. And, not everybody does, as we know, right?
That's so important. And you do things first class. I've been around you. I've known you long enough to know that. So I think it says a lot that you actually went to EXP. So tell me why you think somebody should actually take a second look, maybe if they've heard about EXP before. Why should they look at it again?
Well, and my thing would be, did you really invest the time to look? And
Right.
did you really look at what this opportunity offers? And what I love is, I always thought about the Triad, but now I don't have any borders. And so, especially with the way tech works, it makes it even easier. Now I can put a team in Asheville, I can put a team in Atlanta, Georgia, I can put a team in Florida if I want to, or I could send somebody that's a great, amazing person who I think is going to make it in real estate, say, hey, Marty, this person will probably be really, really, really great on your team. And we have the benefit of not necessarily I don't need to open up a shop in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't need to open up a shop in Florida. I can partner with a great leader down there. And, the value add to me is, obviously, I get a percentage of that referral income, if you will, through the revenue share. The benefit to the agent on the ground is they get a great new team member, which was wonderful because obviously that generates revenue for their local business. So I really like the fact that we're not limited by our state license anymore either. Like, we can put people anywhere. So that was one thing that I appreciated, because again, restaurant business, franchises, and they had them all over the place, and that made sense to me. but also creating opportunity, because most real estate agents, unless they have a spouse or partner or somebody that has a retirement or insurance, they don't. And, and insurance obviously and medical costs aren't going down. And so, being able to, because I've had people on my team that went with no insurance and we weren't big enough to offer any kind of option for them. We couldn't do it as a small business, as a small independent brokerage. So I didn't really like that piece. But just the fact that they get a piece of it, they get to have that little bit of ownership, and they can, get awarded stock or buy stock. And, most real estate agents don't get to the position of buying millions of dollars of rental homes. They just don't. Most of them, their credit's not good enough, right? So the fact that they can take a small percentage of their commission and buy into that equity program, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you've got something really moving and compounding for you. And again, now you're getting the benefit of that entire network. So as the value of this brokerage goes up, your stock, your equity, your position should go up over time. I mean, obviously there's no guarantees, but if we just look at history, typically things that grow don't devalue.
Right. Well, it's so interesting because we have a lot of big business, IBM, all that stuff here in the Triangle, and never before has a small company like myself been able to offer a package that I think is similar to what you would get, the healthcare that you would get with IBM, the matching funds, because when you can buy stock and get it at a 10% discount, they're matching some of your funds there. So that's huge, and I'm so happy that you're here. I think it speaks volumes that somebody of your quality, somebody of your standard chose this company, and I just encourage people to call you and to learn more about your business, but also learn more about the opportunity with EXP.
Absolutely, and the great thing about the large network is, I'm going to relate to people different, and people are going to relate to me differently, and a lot of people are going to be attracted to the way that Marti does the presentation and what she understands about it. And it's not a one size fits all, so get the information and talk to different people, and don't prejudge an opportunity based upon the one person presenting it to you, because in the end it's actually you that may be hurt, not them. So I would just encourage you, be open-minded. I mean, there's a lot of brokers that I know that are now within the EXP model that were 100% closed mind, and they did not give it, they didn't do their due diligence, essentially. It's kind of like the guy that bought the house as is, sight unseen, and then now he's upset because something didn't go right. Inspect it. And so do your due diligence, ask the questions, dig into, go to one of the conferences and walk around and ask people, what do you love about it? What do you hate about it? I think everybody I've talked to has been very transparent. Look, it is not a perfect brokerage, not a perfect system, but it is better than doing it yourself.
It's a whole lot better than anything I've seen in 35 years of real estate. It's a better opportunity. And I tell you one thing, if I'd have had this 35 years ago, I would have been in a little bit different a position than I am today. And I've done very well with this industry. But this is great. So don't miss it, because it's easy to miss.
It
when
is.
You get tied up in your own thing.
One of the last things is I'm excited for the millennial generation, because I think they just get the tech and the opportunity. And I'm looking at some of them are my past clients' children. I'm like, you should really look at real estate. Like, this industry is changing, and there's some really good stuff happening. I'm just sitting there going, man, I wonder if the next Jay Kinder is a 14-year-old kid in junior high right now. Who's going to go out here and just set this thing on fire. So, I again, just be open-minded to taking a look. That's the best advice I can give you. It may be 100% not what you thought, but if you don't do your due diligence, you'll never know.
That's right. Thank you, Jason. I loved being with you. I hope to see you soon. put your information down at the bottom. I'll have Dave do that. Thank you for joining me today. Appreciate you.
Have a great rest of
Take
the week.
care.
See ya.
Bye-bye.